Trustee Nylon, can you please convene the Committee on Campus Planning, Buildings, and Grounds?
Thank you, Chair Eisen. Will the Committee on Campus Planning, Buildings, and Grounds please come to order? I note that no speakers have requested to address this committee during today's public comment period. It is now time for the committee to consider today's consent agenda. Does any committee member wish to remove any item from the consent agenda for further discussion? Hearing no requests, are there any objections to the approval of the consent agenda? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. Item 3 is an action item. CSU Chico Siskiyou 2 Science Replacement Building. There is a revised item in your packet as well as on the website. The item will be presented by Steve Relia, Executive Vice Chancellor and Chief Financial Officer, Gail Hutchinson, President of CSU Chico, and Vi San Juan, Assistant Vice Chancellor for Capital Planning, Design, and Construction. Steve, will you please begin?
Thank you, Chair Nylon. This item requests that the board approve the schematic plans for the Siskiyou 2 Science Building at Cal State Chico. Now, this is more than your typical university science building, and President Gail Hutchinson will describe some of the exciting programs and features of this state-of-the-art facility. And with that, I'll turn it over to President Hutchinson.
Thank you, Steve. I'm incredibly excited about the prospect of a new science building on our campus, so thank you for taking time today to review our plans. Our new building will further make STEM a central feature on our campus by affording students and faculty new opportunities to collaborate in a cross-disciplinary way. Situated immediately across the street from our engineering buildings, the opportunities for interdisciplinary research and collaboration are excellent. The new building will support the work made possible by Chico State's recent $4.2 million 5-year grant with the U.S. Department of Education. It's a Hispanic Serving Institution NHSI grant, a STEM grant, that supports agriculture, natural sciences and engineering, computer science, and construction management students who identify as low income and Hispanic. The grant creates opportunities in the newly established Chico STEM Connections Collaborative Program. The new building will feature the hands-on lab, a facility pioneered at Chico State, replicated around the CSU system. It will bring K-12 students from around our region to campus where they will work with Chico State students to explore physics, biology, chemistry, and environmental science. This opportunity for young children to explore science in a university setting establishes for them a sense of belonging at the university. The new building also will hold collaborative spaces, both indoors and outdoors, on the ground floor that will invite partnerships with the Gateway Science Museum, donors to the college, and other inspirational science on display programs. I'm especially excited about 2 programs, environmental science and science education, that will have classrooms that open out toward Big Chico Creek. With this resource, students will be able to engage directly with the campus environment, moving seamlessly between classroom and field learning. Just as important as the design of the building is the state-of-the-art equipment that will fill all 4 floors. The opportunity to operate equipment and run experiments with professional quality instruments will allow our students to develop scientific skills. Ultimately, this new building will enable us to provide our students with a contemporary learning space, as well as conduct more research alongside our outstanding faculty. It is a win-win for all. Thank you very much.
We're now going to turn the presentation over to Vi San Juan, who's going to take us through some of the details of this facility. Vi?
Thank you, Steve. Good morning. This is the physical master plan for CSU Chico. The project site is located in red and just south of Big Chico Creek. The site
Excuse me, Vi, would you speak into the mic? Not all the individuals can hear you clearly.
Sure. Thank you. And the people aren't even yelling outside, and you can't hear me, so thank you. The site is shown in red. It is just south of Big Chico Creek and currently occupied by Siskiyou Hall, so that will be demolished as part of this project. Next slide. Thank you. The 4-story, 110,000 square foot building will provide chemistry, physics, geological science, and science education labs, active learning classrooms, graduate research studios, faculty offices, and support areas. The design will be consistent with the campus vocabulary, incorporating brick and concrete on the exterior. The project design incorporates pathways from the library and over to O'Connell Hall. It will seek LEED Silver certification with high-performance building envelope, daylighting, water-efficient fixtures, and landscaping to support sustainability measures. In compliance with CEQA, the campus prepared a mitigated negative declaration that indicates there will be no significant impacts as a result of the project. The total project cost is $101.1 million and will be funded with previously approved system-wide revenue bonds for academic projects and campus-designated capital reserves. So along with this project, the board, with the $50 million approved in November of 16, will be proceeding with science buildings at San Jose, Dominguez Hills. So this is just one that you'll see in the next few months as far as science buildings and where we've dedicated funds to improve STEM across the system. Staff recommends approval. That concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Taylor, your light is on.
No, I'm moving it.
May I have, Trustee Carney.
Well, is that on? I'd just like to say what a wonderful project this looks like, and I'm so happy to be able to vote for it.
We have a motion. Is there a second? And again, this would be for the committee members only, so we do need a second. We do not.
I second it.
Romy seconds it. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? This item is approved. Moving now to item 4, again an action item, CSU East Bay Master Plan Revision. This item will be presented by Steve Relia, Leroy Morishita, President of CSU East Bay, and again, Vice San Juan. Steve, will you please begin?
Thank you, Chair Nylon. This item requests certification of the final environmental impact report and approval of Cal State East Bay's campus master plan, which was originally prepared in 2009. So by way of background on this, at the board meeting in September of 2009, the board approved East Bay's campus master plan, certified the EIR, and adopted the various associated CEQA items. The master plan outlined all aspects of physical development and planned land use for the campus that would be necessary to accommodate the campus master plan, ceiling enrollment of 18,000 students, and included 2 site-specific near-term projects to provide student housing and parking structure. The 2009 final EIR was challenged by the City of Hayward and 2 local community groups. It was then subject to litigation, which, having worked its way through the courts during these years, resulted in a writ requiring the board to take action to address 2 remaining issues. One relates to the project's environmental impact to parks and recreation facilities in the area, and the second relates to the fair share cost for future off-site traffic mitigation. This item is in response to the requirements of that writ. So I'll now turn the presentation over to President Leroy Morishita. President Morishita.
Thank you, Steve. Chair Nyland and members of the Board of Trustees, today I'm very pleased to present the 2018 Cal State East Bay Hayward Campus Master Plan for your approval once again, following the board's first approval in 2009. As Steve stated in his introductory remarks, this item marks the end of a litigious period for Cal State East Bay that began well before my tenure as president at Cal State East Bay, and a new beginning to advance the university's vision set forth 9 years ago to accommodate student growth and ensure continued student success. This visionary master plan will serve to enhance the campus learning environment, create supportive student housing neighborhoods greatly needed, improve the campus entry and image, improve campus pedestrian circulation, make it safer for students to get to the campus from across the street, and implement comprehensive, environmentally sustainable development and operations. Over the past 6.5 years, we have been in discussion with the City of Hayward to come to an amicable resolution, which is still yet to be achieved. I will now turn the presentation over to Assistant Vice Chancellor Vi San Juan, who will provide perspective on the requirements of the writ and necessary CEQA actions. Vi.
Thank you, President Murashida. This is the proposed 2018 master plan for Cal State East Bay. It's based on the 2009 master plan, as you've heard, and it's incorporated minor master plan changes that have occurred under my delegated authority in between that 6-year period. The 200-acre campus is bordered by residential neighborhoods to the north and west, with Guerin Regional Park and Dry Creek Regional Park to the south and east. The campus has prepared a 2017 partially recirculated environmental impact report to analyze the specific issues required by the writ, as noted by Executive Vice Chancellor Relier. The item seeks board approval of 5 actions. First, set aside and vacate the board's original approval of the CSU East Bay Master Plan. Second, decertify the 2009 Final Environmental Impact Report. Third, certify the 2017 partially recirculated Final Environmental Impact Report and recertify the 2009 Final Environmental Impact Report. 4, reapprove the master plan and associated board findings as modified in compliance with the writ. And 5, reapprove the CSU's estimated fair share amount of $2.3 million for off-site traffic mitigation. There are 2 near-term projects in the master plan to increase on-campus housing and parking. Pioneer Heights Student Housing Phase 4, a planned 600-bed complex is shown in blue, and the parking structure for 1,100 spaces is shown in green. Both were analyzed in the 2009 Final Environmental Impact Report and the 2017 Partially Recirculated Environmental Impact Report. Next slide, please. The writ directed the trustees to undertake further studies to evaluate the impacts on these 2 regional parks and reconsider the funding the feasibility of the fair share contribution of the $2.3 million as a result of the Supreme Court's decision in the lawsuit related to San Diego State's master plan. The CSU has complied with its legal obligation to determine its proportionate cost of the traffic improvements and negotiate with the controlling agency, the City of Hayward. The EIR traffic consultant identified improvements needed and calculated CSU's fair share at $2.3 million based on total cost of $5.1, and our pro rata share is 45% of the $5.1. This proportionate share was approved by the trustees as part of the 2009 master plan, and the proposed board resolution includes reapproval of the fair share amount and identifies a mechanism by which the funds will be released to the City of Hayward. The campus has discussed the pro rata fair share amount of the offsite impacts, but has not yet come to agreement. In your package, you've received a letter that we received yesterday from the City of Hayward. The city is indicating disagreement with the fair share valuation and other items, but primarily the fair share amount of the 2.3. They also request this item be postponed, but I think it is positive for the campus and city to continue negotiations, but they've not come to agreement at this time, and we need to get back to the court based on the requirements of the writ. So I believe we're supposed to go back to the court by October of 17, and we have received an extension. So we are under a time clock to get back to the court. The 2017 partially recirculated EIR now replaces the original recreation and parkland analysis in the 2009 final EIR. The recent analysis concluded that the campus growth and proposed master plan would not result in significant adverse impacts to the use of the adjacent park facilities, and no further mitigation measures related to parkland were proposed. All other portions of the 2009 Final Environmental Impact Report are unchanged, including the significant and unavoidable impacts. They're listed on the screen as aesthetics, air quality, cultural, and traffic. Staff recommends approval of the proposed master plan. Chair Nyland, this concludes our presentation.
Thank you for your presentation. This now begins the question and answer period. And I know that Trustee Taylor would like to ask a question.
President Murashida, Ms. San Juan, congratulations on moving this as far as you have. I know it's been quite an adventure. And given the writ and the extension we asked for, we dare not postpone. So let's move forward, in my view. are we, something you said, President Murshida, resonated with me, which is you said the end of the long, painful, litigious process. Is this the end? Dare we hope? Hope against hope?
We dare hope that it is. We have prevailed, right? We lost in trial court, we won in appeals court,
Right.
and we won twice in the state Supreme Court in terms of our obligations. And so this identifies the two obligations that the courts feel that we had to deal with, which was to look at the parklands and then to make us agreement in terms of the cost mitigations that we have to incur.
I'll admit there are some provisions in here that in a perfect world I'd prefer us not to do, but I understand, litigation and deals with the city. We need to cut a deal and move forward. So I'm encouraged, I'm hopeful, knocking on wood, that this is the end of the process and we can actually get something done. So at the appropriate time, I will move it, but I don't want to jump the gun on that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Taylor. Are there any other questions? It would then be appropriate, Trustee Taylor, to
Move it.
There is a motion. There is a second. And again, this is the item for the CSU East Bay Master Plan revision. We have a motion. We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Thank you. Now moving on to item 5, the CSU San Bernardino Master Plan revision for Palm Desert Off-Campus Center. This item will be presented by Steve Relia, Tomas Morales, President of CSU San Bernardino, and again by San Juan. Steve, would you please begin?
Thank you, Chair Nylon. Now, this item requests certification of the final environmental impact report and approval of the 2018 Campus Master Plan for the Cal State San Bernardino Palm Desert Off-Campus Center, which you're now seeing a rendering on the slide. This is the first major master plan revision for the Palm Desert campus since the initial master plan was approved in the year 2000. The plan, which President Tomas Morales and Vice San Juan will describe to you, is consistent with the campus's mission to serve the students and communities of Palm Desert, the Coachella Valley, and the state of California. So I'll now turn the presentation over to President Tomas Morales.
Thank you, Steve. Chair Nealon, members of the Board of Trustees, I'm very pleased to present the 2017 Master Plan for the Palm Desert Satellite Campus of Cal State San Bernardino. 18 months in the making, the plan represents a consensus design crafted with input from both the campus and external communities through a series of open forums and planning workshops. The 2017 Palm Desert Campus Master Plan is an aspirational long-range development plan to establish a vision for the campus's future growth. The plan is intended to transform the campus from a suburban commuter campus into a more dense, walkable, urban campus with protected outdoor gathering places that are human-scaled, shaded, and sheltered from the heat and seasonal winds of the desert environment. Historically, capital development at the Palm Desert campus has significantly benefited from the support of its local communities and private donors. In fact, all 4 of the existing campus academic buildings were privately designed and constructed in partnership with the local community and our donors, with state funds used to equip and furnish the buildings. The overarching planning that guides development at the Palm Desert campus to 2035 includes the following principles. First, to provide and optimize facilities to help implement the university's academic strategic plan for Palm Desert and support an enrollment goal of 8,000 FTE. Second, to increase campus density and provide facilities that will create a more complete 24/7 environment and provide intra-campus connectivity as well as connectivity with the surrounding community. And lastly, to create architectural and landscape designs that establish a student-centered setting and incorporate best practices in sustainability and water conservation. While we recognize the budget constraints on the CSU, we have prepared this master plan to lay the foundation and vision for future growth and development of the Cal State San Bernardino Palm Desert campus. As always, I would like to express my deep appreciation to Vi and the CPDC team, who have been incredibly supportive of our efforts in Palm Desert. With that, as an introduction, I will now turn the presentation over to Vi. Thank you.
Thank you, President Morales. This is the proposed master plan for the Palm Desert campus. The 168-acre campus is bordered by Cook Street, an exit from Interstate 10, and Frank Sinatra Drive to the south. The CSU entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Palm Desert Redevelopment Agency for the development of the site for educational purposes and acquired the initial 55 acres in 1999. Then in 2015, after the state's dissolution of redevelopment agencies, the state and the successor entity to the Palm Desert Redevelopment Agency agreed the remaining 113 acres should be transferred to the California State University. This plan proposed by the campus sets the vision for campus development that adds to the current buildings that are along Cook Street, shown in black, and continues growth towards the center of the site and south towards University of California Riverside's off-campus center, which is shown to the south along Frank Sinatra Drive. The plan includes academic facilities, student housing, a theater building expansion, a library and media center, and physical education facilities. The proposed long-range master plan is envisioned to accommodate 8,000 FTE at future build-out. A final environmental impact report has been prepared to analyze the potential significant environmental impacts of the proposed campus master plan 2018 in accordance with CEQA requirements and state CEQA guidelines. The final environmental impact report has also determined there are a number of significant and unavoidable impacts related to traffic, air quality, and noise, which the trustees must consider prior to certifying the EIR. These include short-term noise and air quality impacts due to construction activities, cumulative traffic, noise, and air quality impacts due to campus and regional growth. The CSU's complied with its legal obligation to determine its proportionate cost of the traffic improvements and come to agreement with the City of Palm Desert to pay for traffic impacts when appropriate. Staff recommends approval. Chair Nyland, this concludes our presentation.
Thank you for your presentations. Are there any questions or comments from the board? The item is the CSU San Bernardino Master Plan Revision for Palm Desert Off-Campus Center. It is an action item before the Committee on Campus Planning, Buildings, and Grounds. Only committee members may vote at this time. May I have a motion?
Move it.
There's a motion. There is a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? This item has been approved, and Chair Eisen, this concludes the business of the Committee on Campus Planning, Buildings, and Grounds.
All right.